Welcome back to the Lights Out podcast, bedtime stories for boys and girls around the world for when the lights go out. Good evening, boys and girls. Are you ready for bed? Are you all snuggled up, wrapped up, tucked up, nice and warm, and ready for another Lights Out bedtime story? Good, because you're in for the sixth treat, oh my word, of the Fing. No, it's not the Fing, of Fing by David Williams. It's getting rather funny. Chapter 6, Two Evils. Well then, we can't go down into the vaults, said Mr. Meek, and that's that. Mrs. Meek was not taking no for an answer. But what about our darling daughter? If we don't get her a Fing, there will be tears before bedtime. Oh, yes. The man turned deathly pale at the thought. His eyes rolled back and he wobbled. Are you quite all right, Mr. Meek? But before he could reply, Mr. Meek fainted. Mrs. Meek went to catch him, but they both tumbled backwards and landed on the floor. Oof! She exclaimed as her husband landed on top of her. An old man stepped over them both to reach a gardening book. The pair smiled politely up at him. Good morning, they said. Are you all right down there, Mrs. Meek? Inquired Mr. Meek. Yes, are you all right? Me? Yes. You fainted, did I? Yes. Oh dear indeed. Let me help you up. No, let me help you up. This went on for quite a while until finally both of them were on their feet. Now the pair had to choose between two evils. Either they went down into the spooky vaults of the library, or they faced the wrath of their daughter. The lesser of the two seemed to be the vaults. I don't think we have a choice, said father. Then follow me, replied mother. Mrs. Meek led her husband to the battered old door in the far corner of the library. Cobwebs covered the cracks, and the sign over it read, Do not enter. Will it be dark downstairs in the vault? He asked, his voice wavering. Oh, yes, pitch black, to protect all the old books, she replied. Well then, ladies first. Me? Protested Mrs. Meek. They were both scared of the dark. I insist, he pressed. I insist. I am a gentleman. I have to let a lady go first. No, that's very old-fashioned these days, Mr. Meek. You should definitely go first. No, you. The pair had reached something of a standoff. I know. Let's both go down together, announced Mother. Good plan, replied Father. He took down the rusty old key that was sitting on top of the doorframe. Looking around to check no one was watching, he unlocked the door. Click, creak. He fumbled for his wife's hand, and together they slowly descended the steps. It's not too bad, is it? Asked Mrs. Meek. No, stammered Mr. Meek. The end of Chapter 6 of Fing by David Williams. Here on the Lights Out podcast, bedtime stories for boys and girls around the world. Stay tuned for Chapter 7, which is going to be called, let me just tell you, An Ancient, Obscure and Bizarre. Tune in tomorrow night for Chapter 7 of Fing here on the Lights Out podcast. Now get to bed. Sweet dreams. Good night.